Ladies and gentlemen, please begin to take your seats. Our program is set to begin in just a few minutes. Thank you. Chair and member of the University of California Regents Selection Advisory Committee, the Honorable Alejandra Sotelo Solis.
Wait, keep it going. Sweet brown goddess of the night. Chicana, what a lady, linda Chicana. Where my Chicanas at? Right here. Woo! Linda Chicana. All right, everybody. So, buenas tardes, mi raza. All right. This is the lunch plenary, so I know you're hungry. But we're gonna have some great, hold on guys. We're gonna have a great lunch and program for you. So welcome back. It's such a pleasure to have you all with us today for our luncheon programming. This next session continues our tradition of bringing together voices and perspectives that are all shaping policy and creating opportunities across the nation. We are incredibly grateful to our National Leadership Lunch host, Toyota Motor North America, for their support. One more time. All right. For their support and partnership. Ándale, they keep going. All right. And now it's my pleasure to welcome to the stage Ms. Nicolina Hernandez, Regional Director of State Government Affairs at Toyota Motor North America.
Good afternoon, muy buenas tardes. On behalf of Toyota, welcome to NALEO's National Leadership and Plenary Luncheon. My name is Nicolina Hernandez. I'm Toyota's first Latina Regional Director of State Government Affairs. Thank you so much for being here. You know, for Latinos, family means everything to us, from our youngest children to our abuelos, and our extended network of tíos, primos y padrinos. They are the heartbeat that keeps us strong and provides an unshakable sense of belonging. We have a rich cultural heritage that brings joy not just to us, but to everyone around us. Whether it's a night of loteria with family and friends or cumbia dancing, these are some of my favorite memories. Our traditions tell a story of who we are. Our language, it is a vital thread that ties us together. Spanish is spoken by millions around the world, and each region with its own distinct expressions. There's a saying I'm reminded of: El que quiere azul celeste, que le cueste. Which means if you want the sky to be blue, you're gonna have to work for it. And for me, that reflects the dreams that my parents had, the sacrifices that they made for their blue sky, and the dreams that I'm still working toward today. I love my family. They keep me grounded in my Mexican-American roots, and because of that connection, I noticed something important happening in our community, something that we'll be hearing more about during today's lunch, and that is how Latino voting patterns are starting to shift. If you don't mind indulging me in a little bit of a personal story, in my own family, some agreed with Democrats, others with Republicans, and others chose not to or could not vote. But across the board, both here in the United States and in Mexico, we were energized like never before. We felt deeply how the outcomes would affect our day-to-day lives. This diversity of thought is just one example of how Latino voices are dynamic, passionate, and complex. Just like in my own family, and I imagine in this room, what brings us together is our shared desire to be seen, to be heard, and to be respected. That's why, for me, it's so important that I'm representing Toyota here today. It is a company that truly upholds civic engagement and respect for people as core values that guide everything we do. Because when more people are engaged in civic life and treated with respect, our communities, they grow stronger. These values help build trust. They encourage transparency and bring us together as a society. The people's voice in the halls of power, your voice as leaders in your community, it is essential for our success. Above all, participation in civic life, whether voting in elections or running for public office, as many of you have, or participating in neighborhood projects, I believe it is a key path to creating a more accessible society with equal opportunity where every individual is treated con dignidad. It is truly a pleasure for Toyota to support this annual conference. We have partnered with NALEO for many, many years, and that is because NALEO walks the talk. For nearly half a century, they have worked to elevate Latino political engagement and leadership at all levels. On behalf of Toyota, I want to salute Erika Bernal Martinez and her incredible team for their unwavering dedication to strengthening Latino representation. Un aplauso para Erika. So to conclude, I just want to say, I know we're all here because this work is so important, and NALEO is incredible, but they can't do it alone. So I wish to thank each and every one of you here today. Muchísimas gracias de todo corazón for the tireless work that you do in your part of the world to make our presence unmistakable. Let's keep pushing forward. Let's keep pushing forward until the Latino voice rings loud and as clear as a blue sky. We can do this together. Vayamos juntos. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nicolina. Thank you so much, Ms. Hernandez, for those thoughtful remarks. And thank you again to Toyota Motor North America for your continued partnership and support of Naleo. Give it up, yeah, you can. So now it's my pleasure to welcome to the stage, again, a leader who has been instrumental in shaping this year's conference and the future of Naleo. Please join me in welcoming to the stage one of the most incredible, fierce, and she's wearing pink today, women I know, Naleo and Naleo Educational Fund Chief Executive Director, Ms. Erika Bernal Martinez.
Good afternoon, familia. It's wonderful to see a full house. So good to see you all. Standing here with you today as the new Chief Executive Officer of Naleo and Naleo Educational Fund, thank you. Thank you. I am truly filled with gratitude, humility, and a deep hope for the future of this organization and our nation, despite the enormous challenges that lie before us. To our board, to our members, and to our team, thank you. And to Arturo Vargas, a mentor and my friend, your legacy is a living thing. Arturo built a home for our mission, and I look forward to carrying it with pride and with purpose. Before we proceed, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the people who make this work possible. To our members, the elected and appointed officials on the front lines of our communities, to our sponsors and partners, you have stood with us, not because it was always easy, but because it was the right thing to do. And to the Naleo Educational Fund staff, who have carried on the legacy of our founder, Edward R. Roybal, with prestige and professionalism, you are all first in class. Please give yourselves a round of applause. And before I continue, I want to take a moment to recognize the veterans in the room and their families. Thank you for your service to our nation. When I started with this organization 25 years ago, I was proud to be working for my community. And I've had the privilege of doing so through many roles here at Naleo Educational Fund. And over those years, despite the challenges we have faced, I have seen what we can accomplish when we work together. But there is so much work ahead, and the stakes have never been higher for our community and our republic. We are living through a time of real division. You can feel it when you walk into a room. It's become a plague on our sense of civility, pushing us to retreat into echo chambers that do nothing to bring us closer together. And we must also be honest about what we are seeing within our communities and the real impact of our nation's policies on real people. Like many Americans, Latinos are hurting financially. when Latinos went to the polls in 2024, the economy was the #1 issue on their minds. High gas prices, the cost of housing, groceries, issues that affect all of us. Seeing our young people graduate from college today with record debt and fewer job prospects, or witnessing our seniors struggling in their golden years, that is not the American dream they were promised. And we have a responsibility to do better. This is why Naleo Educational Fund will continue to focus on these pocketbook issues through our programming. Because we know that when elected officials provide solutions to help solve these problems, our families thrive. And when our families do better, entire communities improve, which is good for the entire country. Latinos deeply understand the power of family and the great responsibility that comes with being a caregiver. A role that many in this room, as I've spoken to you, including myself, assume every day in taking care for our children, our parents, and grandparents. That community-centered lens through which we see the world only sharpens the realities around our broken immigration system and the human element at play that we are seeing amongst immigrant families, mixed status households, everyday people, all of whom aspire to live in dignity. We cannot ignore the realities around border security and the need to enforce the law. Both of these things matter. There is a practical element at play here. Our country simply cannot function without immigrants filling essential jobs. It's just not possible. No matter what your motivations or values are, we should all be able to agree that the status quo is simply unacceptable. And despite our diverse opinions on how to solve these problems, the fact of the matter is that we can't deliver for our people if we keep fighting one another. Every day, I see elected officials, advocacy groups, other trusted leaders spending political capital and energy, hurling insults, imposing purity tests, and attacking one another. And while this may feel good in the moment, it does nothing to advance our shared goal of making life better for our communities. Our people need us to rise above the noise and deliver results. Because if it's not the people in this room leading and working toward that change, no one will. And so I say this on behalf of people like my mother and my father who immigrated to this country, and I've heard this story over and over again over the last day and a half, looking for opportunity and a better chance and a better life for their children. It's time for us to lead, not with ego and absolutes, but with empathy and common sense. Yes, we are a nation of laws, but we must also be a nation of values. And while we should never accept debates over people's humanity, we must strive to handle our policy disagreements with greater care and grace. We have a responsibility to model civility and discipline when the temperature rises. Yes, this looks like calling out political violence against public servants, elected officials, and law enforcement alike, but also being critical of those in power when we don't see our values reflected in how they treat our communities. on our core mission issues, we will remain unwavering and bold because we know that these are areas where we can make the biggest difference. We will also continue to provide premier programming to all of you so that this class of elected and appointed officials, as well as future ones, remain equipped and ready to lead in your communities with excellence. Now, we may not agree on every policy or every priority or every approach to tackling the challenges we face. And even when we believe at our very core that we are on the right side of an issue, we can never let those sentiments move us to destructive behavior that prevents us from achieving our collective progress. If you value delivering results amid tough political realities, no matter what side you're on, then I invite you to join NALEO in this next era of our work. If you are committed to making meaningful difference, like so many in this room today, then you will always have a home here. NALEO will always be a place that welcomes Democrats and Republicans and independents, young and old, gay and straight, urban and rural, US-born and immigrant, no matter what generation you are. We welcome anyone who believes in the power and promise of public service. We have a responsibility, not just as public servants, community members, and colleagues, but as human beings, not to stand by when something is wrong, but to be part of the solutions to the problems that we see. And this is not going to be easy, but it was never supposed to be. Democracy is messy, and policymaking can be an unforgiving labyrinth of setbacks and concessions. Sometimes the tides of populism on both sides, whether reactionary or revolutionary, can pull so hard that they can derail meaningful progress. But this is a reality of politics and policymaking. But learning to lead amid these challenges is what separates great leaders from those who dodge the hard choices or mistake noise for purpose. The mark of a true leader is someone who pushes through, knowing that they can't necessarily make everyone happy, but they can make life better for a lot of people. And that model of leadership is not just worth embodying, but it's worth fighting for. Don't let anyone tell you that collaborative governance, meaningful engagement, and measured action are ineffective. We know the impact NALEO Educational Fund has made and will continue to have with this approach to our work. In just the last few years, NALEO Educational Fund has made incredible strides toward major progress for all Latinos and all Americans. Because of us, more than 50,000 people are one step closer to the American dream with completed citizenship applications. Because of us, yes, that deserves an applause. Because of us, more than 250,000 questions about voting, the census, and citizenship have been answered through our toll-free bilingual hotline. And because of us, nearly 8,000 elected leaders have been trained and are delivering results for millions and millions of constituents. That is not ineffective. It is incredibly impactful. And to say that what we do does not matter is to say that what you do does not matter. And that does not match reality. Our work together has delivered real results for real people. Now look, I can appreciate that many in this room might have wanted me to come up here and join the chorus of national organizations lambasting and criticizing all the dysfunction in Washington. There is no shortage of national groups doing this on a daily basis. But each organization has an important role to play in the broader context of delivering change for our communities. That is why, as the head of NALEO and NALEO Educational Fund, I choose to renew our tradition of focusing on the collective agency and power that is in this room today. The role that our organizations have in this space is needed now more than ever. And I am reassured every day when I take stock of the talent, the commitment, the grit, the courage, and the ganas that allows us to endure in the face of adversity. There are so many things that define us as a community. We are a hard people to knock down. And I believe in our ability to find real solutions for ourselves. This new chapter for NALEO and NALEO Educational Fund is not about me. It's about all of us reimagining the future together. As an institution, we are restructuring to meet the moment. We are refining our programming to deepen impact. And we are building strategy for the next generation of Latino leaders. Because we're not just navigating an existing path, we're building new ones. And so I leave you with this. Lead with courage. Disagree with grace. Give each other off-ramps. Stand for those who can't. And never let fear write our story. Because our story, the story of Latinos in this great country, is one of perseverance, of power, and of promise. This is our moment. Let's step up forward together and take the future head on. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you very much.
¡Que viva NALEO! Oh, one more time, híjole. ¡Que viva NALEO! Eso! Wow, thank you, Erika, for those incredibly moving words. We are thrilled to have you at the helm of these organizations and look forward to the future of our work and mission under your leadership. Please join me in giving Erika Bernal Martinez another round of applause. She said some of the things all of us were thinking, right? At NALEO and NALEO Educational Fund, we know that how our stories are told and who gets to tell them deeply matters. Media plays a profoundly powerful role in shaping public understanding, amplifying Latino voices, and informing our communities. That's why we are so proud to stand with Comcast, NBC, Universal, Telemundo as our national media partner. Give them a big round of applause. We thank them and recognize their enduring commitment to our mission. With that, it is my pleasure to welcome to the stage for a few words, someone who has been a steadfast champion for NALEO, Mr. Luis Rosero, Vice President, Corporate and External Affairs, NBC Universal, Telemundo Enterprises, and he's a NALEO Educational Fund board member. Please give it up for Luis.
Hi, good afternoon. Wow, that's a really hard act to follow, so I'm going to make this very brief. On behalf of Comcast, NBC Universal Telemundo, I would like to congratulate Naleo on another remarkable gathering. Year after year, this event brings Latino leaders from across the country who are not only shaping the future, but showing up for our communities in very meaningful ways. We are honored to serve once again as Naleo's national media partner. This marks our 8th consecutive year as Naleo's national media partner, and we are very, very proud of that, very grateful for the partnership that we've built, and thankful for the work that we've been able to accomplish together. In these challenging times, they are also filled with opportunity. And it's in spaces like this where people come together to listen, to lead, and to lift each other up. This is where real progress takes root and can make changes. And one person that I know that we've talked about a lot, but I'd be remiss not to be able to mention him, Arturo. Arturo Vargas, what an incredible legacy. For more than 30 years, you've led Naleo with heart, vision, and an unwavering leadership. You've strengthened democracy, built opportunity, and fought for Latino representation with all heart and humility. You have personally sacrificed so much for our community, and generations of Latinos will be better off because of your dedication. Thank you for your vision, your voice, your lifelong commitment, but most of all, for your friendship. It means a lot, and thank you for all the work that you have done. But now it's an opportunity and the chance that we are all looking ahead. And I am honored to welcome and congratulate Erica Bernal Martinez on her appointment as CEO of Naleo and the Naleo Educational Fund. As a first-generation Latina who has spent 25 years with the organization, rising through every leadership level before being appointed CEO, her story, shaped by family, community, and a passion for service, is one that reflects the very best of what Naleo stands for. We're inspired by your leadership, excited to see where your vision will take this organization in the years ahead. And at Comcast NBC Universal Telemundo, we will always believe in the power of storytelling, civic participation, and partnerships rooted in purpose. Thank you for allowing us to be part of this journey. Now, please enjoy what I know will be a dynamic conversation between two leaders who I deeply admire, Emmy Award-winning national anchor for Noticias Telemundo, Julio Vaqueiro, and Naleo's new CEO, Erica Bernal Martinez. Thank you so much.
On behalf of Naleo Educational Fund, thank you to Luis Rosero, NBC Universal Telemundo Enterprises, for your partnership, your unwavering support, and your tireless work as a trusted source of news and information for millions of Latino households across the country, and a steadfast champion of visibility, civic participation, and empowerment for our community. Let's give them a round of applause for their leadership and their support. Luis began to introduce our panel this afternoon, but it's my pleasure to welcome someone whose voice and leadership are helping guide the national conversation on issues that matter most. Mr. Julio Vaqueiro is an Emmy Award-winning anchor of Noticias Telemundo with the fastest growing broadcast evening newscast regardless of language, according to Nielsen data. Mr. Vaqueiro was also just awarded an Emmy in the Outstanding Journalist in Spanish Language Media category. Bravo, felicidades. He's also recently published a book, Rio Bravo, which explores the U.S.-Mexico relationship and the campaigns of President Donald Trump and Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum. Please give me a hand again in welcoming Julio Vaqueiro, anchor for Noticias Telemundo, as we have a conversation on the state of the media today.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Gracias, bienvenido.
Thank you.
Okay.
So let me just
Sí,
begin by
por
saying
favor,
congratulations,
claro, no.
Erika, for
Mil
this
gracias.
accomplishment. CEO of Naleo. It's a huge challenge and important job. So I really wish you best of luck.
Muchas
Muchas
gracias.
felicidades y mucha suerte.
Gracias. Big, lots of work to do.
I
and
know.
some big shoes to fill. So
No,
I'm
you'll
excited.
do a great job, I'm sure.
Pues que, no, te iba a hablar en español.
Yo feliz
You guys
porque
do that, right? You code switch and you don't even realize that you're switching from one
you'll
language
have
to
to
another.
bear with my English and my accent. So
Well, I may break out into Spanish, but thank you for being with us. We wanted to take the opportunity, first of all, to recognize the leadership of Telemundo as a longstanding partner of Naleo in really promoting the civic engagement of Latinos and providing what is vital information to their ability to engage in our democracy. And so we're grateful for that partnership. We've done some great work together. But as we transition in the next few minutes into a conversation as we look at our national political landscape and Latino political engagement, we thought it was important to begin by talking a little bit from your perspective about what we saw in this last election cycle.
Yes.
The time of perhaps surprises, very unusual circumstances in our political campaign. But I would love to tell you a little bit about why Naleo's work is so important, and would love to hear what you're observing from your perspective as you're doing your work as a journalist. So Naleo began its nonpartisan voter engagement work in 2000, a time when no one was talking about engaging Latino voters, particularly those that were least likely to participate. And Naleo sort of took this big, bold step and started talking to funders and partners and saying, you know, we really believe that if you invest in talking to and engaging and giving information to Latino voters, that they'll respond. They will turn out to vote. They will participate. And here we are 20 years later with tremendous progress being made now, with so many organizations doing this work, but a very changed landscape. Many organizations are now doing this work focused on engaging Latinos through a political lens or through issue advocacy. And today, the work of nonpartisan voter engagement has become more challenging as resources for that work has dried up. But we have been able to achieve what we have because of work that we've done with folks like yourself. And so, dime, Julio, as you were looking at the 2024 election and the coverage that you did, tell us what you observed, what you saw.
Yes, I think it was I think most people agree with this. It was an earthquake. So the shift was major. But the number one lesson, I would say, is that Latino voters are diverse, complex, dynamic, ever-changing. I was surprised to see the Pew Research Center analysis just recently published about how the shift was even bigger than we have thought of. So President Trump was very close to win a historic majority of the Latino vote. And that really surprised experts and analysts and people who really follow these issues. In our reporting, we learned that the number one concern for Latinos was the economy.
Yeah.
Poll after poll showed that inflation was the number one issue. We published a poll with Axios last April, and it showed precisely that. The economy is the number one concern, but also it showed some interesting and noteworthy shifts in hardline immigration positions in Latino voters. Now, what are we seeing right now? We're seeing that polls reflect a frustration in Latinos with the way the Trump administration is handling the economy, and also a lot of Latinos just feeling that the immigration policies are going too far. So my take is that Latino voters are up for grabs, and politicians really need to work hard to listen to them and speak to them, and the economy and immigration are the two major issues that I think may define those votes in the coming elections.
Thank
I
you
don't know if
for-
you agree with that.
No, thank you for saying that because, you know, as someone who's been doing this work of civic engagement alongside my colleagues, it both frustrates me that we're having the same conversation we're having for 20 years.
Over and over.
Over
every
and
4
over.
years. Yes.
But I find hope that more and more people are saying the same thing and hoping that we'll have parties and leaders that will begin to take this opportunity to truly engage our community in a meaningful way. Let me ask you, Julio, I think one of the dynamics that is so different coming into this election cycle and as we look forward is that the way people receive and consume information looks so different. Tell us about how you and Telemundo are really looking at that change in landscape of consumer information and the way it's being delivered and how you're seeing that looking forward.
There's also an earthquake in that aspect.
Yes, there is.
So we're going through a very interesting time. People want the same things. They want facts and information that can help them make decisions and how things, just learn how issues, so different issues and things that happen impact their personal lives and their families. But some things have changed. Number one is the platforms. People are watching more streaming, social media, and the trust that viewers have on media and in just mainstream institutions, to be honest. So we have to really address that, the trust and the fact that we need to be where people are. So reach them in social media, in streaming. So we're working very hard on that. We have a big social media team working to put our content right there. And then for me, transparency is very, very important, just to show our audience how we do our job, why we make certain decisions, why we decide one piece of news is more important than other, and just explain people what we know, what we don't know in every given coverage, and be very transparent. That, I believe, builds on the trust that people have on us. And then just try to be close to people. We really broadcast our show across the United States. We go to different communities and try to be close to people, listen to them, and just put a light on their issues and their concerns. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I really appreciate that you're calling out the notion of facts because that seems to be a subjective subject these days. But when you look at I think the challenge that we face as a community and as a nation, where the way that technology sort of is played out is that we're often subject to these echo chambers, right? Whatever algorithm feeds you is the story that you're hearing or rehearing, and it becomes very difficult to then have different perspectives reaching you based on the choices that you make of how you consume. So I really appreciate you calling out the need for trust and transparency, and I think that's a challenge for organizations like Naleo to continue to be a trusted voice in delivering facts. When is the election? What are the different ways that you can participate in that election?
Yes.
How do you register to vote? But also the opportunity that all of you have as policymakers to uplift the truth, to uplift the facts, to ensure that you're engaging your community in a very dynamic way. So Julio, as you look forward, tell me a little bit about how your role as a journalist is changing and what excites you about the opportunities that lie ahead in continuing to deliver factual, timely information to your audience.
It is very exciting. Just imagine to have the possibility to tell the story of our times. It is such an interesting time of change, of moving parts and different elements happening at the same time. So it is very, very, I feel very passionate about it. It is exciting. But again, we have to adapt and we need to really meet the people where they are. So that is very important to us. You were talking about facts, and in these times of polarizations and misinformation, disinformation, I think more journalism is the answer. So at Noticias Telemundo, we have a saying that goes, las cosas como son, and we just try to tell it as it is. It's very basic, it sounds very simple, but it is very complicated. We have different tools, so we're doubling down on those platforms like Te Verifica, which is a platform we have that really tries to, it's a fact-checking tool that we have for people to really ask us questions through a WhatsApp channel we have available. And we just do the work for them. We fact check things and put some explainers on the air, on social media, and just offer context to our audience, which is, I think, very important. Context, facts, transparency.
Absolutely. So as you are talking to a room full of elected officials, they are trusted voices in their community.
Yes.
They're out there knocking on doors, running into their constituents at the supermarket, doing community events. What advice would you give them about how they can help uplift the truth, facts, democracy?
I think the most important thing is to stay close to your people, not only during campaign season, but beyond election day. It is very, I mean, our communities, Latinos, sometimes feel unseen, unheard by institutions like the media, like government. So it is our job to be the bridge, to really speak clearly, to be present constantly, and more importantly, to listen. I try to remind myself that almost every day. Listen, 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 because we always have the temptation to talk and talk and talk. But it is very important to listen.
Thank you for saying that. And I think you raise another really important point that we certainly have observed in the field of civic engagement. Oftentimes the money that comes into organizations like National Educational Fund and so many others is cyclical. We're getting support to do a voter engagement campaign or a citizenship workshop 30, 60 days out from an election, and don't have the resources to sustain that communication and that engagement with our community year-round. And that is a disservice to ensuring that our community truly feels heard, as you said, feels taken into account, and has the opportunity to be hearing these messages of why their engagement matters, why their issues are important year-round. So we still have a lot of work to do. There is a lot of opportunity moving forward to make sure that we're consistent and our community feels engaged and valued. But as you look forward, I do want, in the midst of such challenging times, one of my hopes as people come here is that they find community and that you can find, in the midst of a very difficult moment, some joy and purpose in recommitting to the work that we have to do as you all go back home. So what gives you hope as you look toward the future, a room full of Latino elected leaders, and the collective strength and power that we have?
Yes, I am very hopeful. I am very hopeful because I see Latino leaders not just showing up in politics and in different areas, but also shaping the agenda. I think we are all just retelling the story of who has a voice and who doesn't. And we all have a voice, that's the truth. So from school boards to Congress, from local TV stations to national airwaves, we are telling that story. And I get to talk to a lot of students and young people. I was recently in LA in USC, and then another group of people, students, came to Telemundo Center, to our network's headquarters in Florida. And I just see this generation being very informed, very prepared, very engaged. And to be honest, that gives me hope and also urgency to just keep on doing our part.
Absolutely. Thank you for mentioning that. I, over the last day, have met a number of some very young, newly elected officials from all across the country and agree that that is a source of great hope.
Yes.
And I want to tell them that we want Naleo to be a place where you feel welcomed. We want to evolve and ensure that how we present information and engage you feels dynamic and feels relevant to you. So we welcome your thoughts and ideas. But like you, Julio, I also feel incredibly optimistic that there is the power of our perseverance as a community, the power of the people in this room, and the power of the hope that our community carries with it, the hopes and aspirations of those that came before us, and that we must now transmit to those who are coming after us as leaders and in future generations. And so please join me in thanking Julio. He was so generous
thank you very much.
with his time to fly from Los Angeles
Gracias,
and
Erika.
join us. Mil gracias.
Thank you very much.
And we look forward to our ongoing partnership and collaboration with Telemundo in engaging and reaching the Latino community and providing them with information that empowers their ability to make their voice heard. Así que muchas gracias. We're going to enter into a very dynamic conversation, so I hope you'll stick around.
Looking forward to that.
I'm looking forward to it as well. And muchas gracias,
Gracias
Julio,
a ti,
thank you
Erika.
all
Gracias
for
a
your
todos. Thank you.
attention. And I'm going to welcome back the chairwoman of the Naleo Educational Fund.
Thank you, Erika.
And now, please welcome back to the stage Naleo Educational Fund Chair and member of the University California Regents Selection Advisory Committee, the Honorable Alejandra Sotelo Solis.
Thank you. I know it's a mouthful. Wait till you say my middle name. Alejandra Refugio Sotelo Solis, UC Regents, Naleo. Anywho, okay, so let's give and thank Erika Bernal Martinez and Julio Vaquero for that incredibly informative conversation on the state of media today. We know that in our democracy, a strong, independent, and representative media is essential to informing our communities and help shape the public conversation on the issues that matter most. For the Latino community, that means ensuring our voices, stories, and perspectives are seen and heard, not just reflected, but respected. In light of this, I'd like to now turn to another timely and essential conversation about the 2024 elections and where our country goes from here. In November 2024, Latino voters once again played a decisive role in shaping outcomes up and down the ballot, from the presidency to the state and local races, reflecting broader transformations across the American electorate. This next plenary will explore who showed up in 2024 to vote, what motivated them, and how key policy priorities and evolving party strategies are shaping the road ahead. Joining us are 5 thought leaders from across the political spectrum who will bring unique insights and decades of experience to this discussion. First, we have Mr. Fin Daniel Gomez, Executive Director of White House and Politics at CBS News, to moderate the discussion. Ms. Michelle Mayorga, partner at GBAO. We have Mr. Chuck Rocha, founder of Solidarity Strategies.
The rest of them don't matter.
And Mr. Mike Madrid, principal at Grassroots Lab. And last but not least, Mr. Daniel Garza, founding president of the Libre Initiative. It's a full house today. So again, please join me in welcoming one more time. Big round of applause for all of our panelists, and let's get ready to hear a great speech.
Good afternoon, Naleo. Y'all having fun so far? Let's go, right? This has been a great conference. I just want to make just a quick note of thanks and gratitude for the organizers who put together this great conference. We put a lot of hard work and time into this. So just big thanks to them. Yeah, it's good. This is a key and crucial conference, especially now, especially while we're in the middle of this political cycle. And I could not be more. Oh, one last thing. Can we just give a round of applause to the waiters who have been serving us today? Can we just do that? Thank you. The chefs in the back, the cooks in the back. All right, let's get started. This is. I mean, I'm honored to be part of this panel. This is one of the best political panels I've ever been on. I've been on a ton of them. This is a great one. Where you literally have people at the top of their game, excluding Chuck, but everybody else, like, I mean, this is the top. I'm sorry, I'm just little. No, but seriously, this is a great panel. I'm really grateful. So why don't we quickly go around and do like little bio introductions of who everybody is. Michelle, you want to get us started?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle Mayorga. I am a partner at GBAO. We are a polling firm. We work with mostly Democrats, or entirely Democrats, and it depends where you are on the spectrum, whether you call them that. And in democratically aligned groups as well. I am the 2025 Pollster of the Year. I'm the first woman of color to win that. And I worked with Chuck on Senator Ruben Gallego's race, so just really glad to be here.
Chuck, who are you?
You're not going to introduce me?
No, who are you, Chuck? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm Chuck Roach. It's good to be fucking home. It's good to be home. I'm a proud lifetime member of NALEO. I'm the president of Solidarity Strategies. We're 16 years old now, which is about as old as Mike Madrid's shoes. Also, I will say that we're the only 100% owned and operated Latino firm in the space. And I'd also like to say that in 16 years of having this firm, the thing I'm most proud of is that we have hired, trained, and paid 133 young Latino and Black kids in my firm.
Mike.
Thank you so much for having me. Mike Madrid, I first want to say thank you from the very bottom of my heart to Arturo Vargas. Arturo, I haven't had a chance to give you a big hug and thank you for your commitment, the life energy you've given to our community, to our people. When they write the story of our people, you will be one of the main chapters, so thank you for everything that you've done for us.
Time's up.
I'm a political consultant who has the rare and unique opportunity to say that I have worked at the highest levels of campaigns on both sides of the aisle. There's probably less than a handful of people who have done that. I was very involved integrally in George W. Bush's campaign as Latino operations in 2000, 2004. I ran Antonio Villaragosa's campaign for governor in 2018 on the Democratic side. I was a co-founder of the Lincoln Project when I got tired of the whole damn thing and wanted to burn it all down. I was also authored a book called The Latino Century last year. Thank you. The feedback's been phenomenal. Where the basic premise is that neither party, and I think we heard a lot about that in the last panel discussion, has any understanding of what's happening institutionally or in this country, and certainly with our voters. So looking forward to the conversation.
Thank you, Mike. And also, they kind of buried the lead also. They also co-host the Latino Vote podcast, which is available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. Daniel, last but not least.
Yeah, Daniel Garza, I'm president of the Libre Initiative. We founded it about 15 years ago out of McAllen, Texas. I'm still there. Right on. We're now in 15 states across the country. We're at about 70 full-time staff, about 500 contracted when we're in full mode on the campaigns. Really proud that we can mobilize young Latinos across the country around issues, champion those causes that we believe in that will allow everybody to rise. We believe in American principles and the defense and the promotion of American principles, and that's what we fight for.
Thank you, Daniel. Another round of applause for this great panel. All right, where we're going to get started is we're going to get started where the last panel started, which is 2024, but we're going to move on. We're going to move on to where we are now, okay? And what we're going to expect, what they expect is going to happen looking ahead to 2025, 2026, and 2028 and beyond. All right, so let's get started. New Pew Research data came out recently that showed that Donald Trump got netted more than expected. 48% of Latino voters voted for President Trump, which was historic inroads. We have not seen that sort of gain by a Republican in modern political history. Nearly half, right? Kamala Harris got 51%. Primarily on this poll, it was, as was mentioned in the last panel, on the economy was one of the top issues, economic issues, cost of things, inflation, right? And also, and immigration was within the top 5 of those issues, but on the far end of that. Recently, well, let's start there. And then we're gonna go to our new CBS News poll that came out this past week that shows a pretty marked difference. But let's get started with why, and as quickly as we can, Why don't we get started with Daniel?
Sure. Why? I think they felt they weren't being represented, that they weren't being heard when they were when Latinos, especially the working class, males, that really he won the majority of Latino males, by the way. The biggest shift, though, was in Latina women towards Trump, which was incredible. And then, of course, youth have really stepped up and shifted center-right as well, which has shocked the world. That's in general, by the way. But why, I think that when Latinos started talking about how much they were being hurt by the rising costs of just about everything, at their gas pump, medicine, rent, food, todo, they were ignored. They were told it wasn't happening, and then they were told it was transitory, and then they were blaming it on Ukraine or whatever the heck. You're not listening. You need to address this issue. You're spending too much. I mean, and then they put into like the Inflation Reduction Act, which actually spiked inflation. And then interest rates went up, and you couldn't even afford a home, for the love of God. And it just, the denials just kept pressing. And so at some point, when you're being ignored and the next contender up in Harris is telling you that she has nothing new to offer when it comes to addressing inflation, well, what do you got? You know, the alternative. So, and the choice is binary. It's either this one or that one. And so they chose to go with the alternative, and maybe he can do something about it. And that's exactly what happened, especially on the border as well. I live in McAllen, Texas. You know, our children were being displaced in schools, citizens in hospitals, our charitable institutions were being overrun. Now, I'm a child of immigrants. I was born in California, but my dad crossed the border on the shoulders of his uncle when he was 13 years of age and then naturalized. But I am very sympathetic to the immigration cause, and I want to expand legal channels, and we're doing as much as we can to do that. But when you allow 7 to 10 million folks to come into the border and inadequately vetted, caught and released with the promise to appear for court, we don't know who they are. And then you start getting stories of, well, it turns out there's terrorists, there's human traffickers, there's cartels, da 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 da. That worries you as the father of a family. And so, again, in the absence of sound policy, they're going to go to the other extreme because it's the alternative, and this isn't working. That's what Latino said.
Thank you, Daniel. You focus a lot on immigration, right? But
immigration, of course.
But in 2024, the top 4 issues within our last poll were all economic for Latino
economic
voters.
Inflation,
right.
Jobs, opportunities. But yes, look, in McAllen, where I'm from, the RGV, 95% Latino. We have a Republican congresswoman that was elected for the first time since Teddy Roosevelt. That tells you how much it's shifted in southern Texas because of the border.
Thank you, Daniel. Michelle, I want to ask you same question, why, and using some of the polling data that you know of.
Yeah, well, I guess what I would say is the age of Democrats taking Latinos for granted is over. The Latino, the Latino electorate is a swing electorate, and we see that Latino men, you heard him talk about Trump winning Latino men. And what is amazing about that is especially younger Latino men had a huge shift towards Trump. And that's because we're not talking to them. And we need to get in there and sort of figure that out because their issues are economic. And I think that is an issue where if we sort of get in and fight about it, we'll win, but we're, not. Well, in some cases we are. And the same thing with women. I think the interesting piece about the shift with Latinas is I think Latinas are sort of more thought of as being sort of a Democratic stronghold or more Democratic. But when we look at the data, when we look at the polling, we actually see them more swingy than Hispanic men. They're making up their minds later. They're undecided. They are making up their minds for Democrats more often, but they are still very, very swingy. So, I think this is certainly a group where we need to sort of get in and be heard and get our messages across. And I think you do see
as democratic interest.
as democratic interests. Yeah, and I think you saw this. I think you saw this with Ruben Gallego in Arizona. Not to pat myself on the back, but okay. And also, thank you. And also, if you look at, you were talking about South Texas. So if you go one step below the presidential race, the place where Colin Allred actually outperformed Harris the most is in South Texas. It is in the most Latino part of Texas. So I think if you look at local candidates and you look at the people sort of running on local issues that people care about, running on the economy, you do see that there are still options for Democrats there, but we have to do the work.
Chuck Rocha, I mentioned that Trump got about 48% of Latino voters overall. However, he won with Latino male voters. This is something that you and Michelle know very well in working Ruben Gallego's campaign. He appealed to that Latino blue-collar voter, but Latino male voters overall, and did very well in a state that Trump won, Arizona. Chuck, on this topic.
Yeah, it's very personal for me, and me and Mike Madrid talk about this a lot on the Latino Vote podcast. And most of you in here know my story in that I never went to college. I've got a criminal record. I was a teenage father, and I went to work in a factory when I was 19 years old. When I joined the Democratic Party, I joined because I wanted to fight NAFTA because they were talking about sending my tire job, where I made tires for a living, overseas. I wanted to drain the swamp of people that I thought they were better than me because they were educated and had these jobs, and I didn't want to see my money spent on foreign wars when I saw people in my community going hungry. Today, if you turn that on its head, that sounds like Donald Trump. Sounds just like Donald Trump. So when you step to me and ask me about Latino men, I was that Latino man. I had a pickup truck. I still wore this hat. I was trying to figure out how I was going to get diapers for my baby. I remember going to a payday lender on a Thursday to get $30 for diapers and then pay them back $70 on Saturday after I got paid. Does that sound familiar? Because I remember what that pain felt like. And as a party and a messenger, we've walked away from that messaging because our party's evolved into something a little different. Not that we don't care about workers. We quit talking to them about issues that they care about, though. That's Daniel's point, and I hate to agree with Daniel, but it's right. Now,
but when I'm right, I'm right.
I'll also say that the Republicans, if economics was the number one issue, then why did Republicans spend $790 million talking about immigration if economic issues were the number one thing? They did that to scare the shit out of white people that immigrants were coming to fuck up their neighborhoods. That's why they did that. And Democrats, you should do both at the same time. And in closing, because I don't want to take all of Mike Madrid's time. Wait. Is to say that we are reliant on, let's put it in this perspective. If you're a Latino elected official and you have a majority Latino district where most of your constituents are Latino, would you rely on a white person who took Latino studies in college to come to your district to better represent them than you could growing up in that community? Is that unfair? Well, that's the way that we run our campaigns. We're reliant on a bunch of well-intentioned, white, overeducated Democratic consultants to come into our community and tell us what they believe in. And I'll conclude my TED Talk there.
Mike, your thoughts, and also, I mean, can I just, you've worked for both sides. If you look at 24, did the Democratic Party lose their contact, if you will, with their connection with that blue-collar Latino voter?
Yeah, but yes. And to their credit, and the last time Chuck and I were here at NALEO last year, it was right, my book had just come out. To their credit, the White House called and said, we want to talk to you. And I said, I'm happy to talk to you, but let me make this really clear. The entire infrastructure in the Democratic Party, the consulting class, cannot help you. You're going to have to make a wholesale change. And I'm talking about the Latino consultants. Sorry if I'm going to burn some bridges in here, but that's too bad. Because this needs to be heard. I did not write, my book got more popular after the election because everyone was like, who's this guy that wrote everything and everything that he wrote came true? I did not write my book as a prediction. I wrote my book as a warning. It was a warning that what we are witnessing is less of a rightward shift as much as it is a popular revolt. There is almost no evidence that Latinos are becoming more conservative. Okay, I've been fighting that battle for 30 years. There's almost none. And what little there is shows that it's part of this swing, and I'm going to talk about that word in just a second because I don't believe it's a swing vote at all. But what there is overwhelming evidence is Latinos have lost faith in both parties. And the Democratic Party is losing voters at a faster rate because it started from a stronger position. Okay? I can show you plenty of data where Republicans have outperformed Donald Trump in virtually every state in the country. So there's not a Donald Trump phenomenon. But as the Republican Party moves away from being a conservative party and towards a populist nationalist party, Latinos are responding by saying this system does not work. I'm tired of the party that has been telling me this stuff for 30 years. It used to manifest itself and still does in low voter turnout, which is our real problem with civic engagement, incidentally. It's not the investment in nonprofits. Excuse me, Naleo, I love you and all of you are there, and I want to help you out where we can. But if you don't have a message that resonates and connects, I don't care how much money you spend and how often you talk to people. The data is overwhelming. Video game levels in the polling that the issue is affordability and cost of living. Okay? This is the first time I've looked at Latino voters and jobs were towards the bottom. Our people have jobs. The problem is you need 3 jobs to make it work in this economy. That's the problem. And until that is addressed, we're going to continue to see this populist revolt. Now, I know we're going to talk about your poll in just a second, and we should, because there's this idea that somehow we're like the soccer moms of the 1990s, and we're this swingy vote. Look, man, soccer moms were appealed to. We are being hunted, okay? We are a spurned voter. We are not a swing voter. We are telling the Democrats, like we did in 2024, what you're doing is failing us and you're not listening. To Daniel's point, he's exactly right. But what we are likely to do in this election cycle in the midterms is the same thing we did in 2018 in the midterms, which had the highest Latino turnout in midterm history, which is to show up and send a message to reject this crazy, overreaching extremism, which is about hunting our people. That's what it is. That's what the polling shows broadly. And I'll finish on this. We need to stop looking to your respective party. I don't care whether you're a Republican or a Democrat and think that somehow they're going to figure it out. Right. They're not. They have a vested interest in not. And if we spend the next 30 years coming to conferences like this, talking about which party is better here and which party is better than there, we are going to fail our community in many of the same ways that we have over the course of the past decade. We have to define what the agenda is. We can be an ethnic voting bloc that protects our people multi-generationally and be an economic pocketbook voter at the same time, because that's who we are. That's who we are.
On the CBS. Right. I'm going to talk now about our CBS News poll that came out this month that showed that there has been according to our poll, there's been a precipitous drop overall, about a 12-point drop overall in approval for President Trump and his policies. That's overall. Specifically to Latino voters, it said that approval dropped by 1/3 since his inauguration, a huge drop. 63% of Latinos now disapprove of his immigration policies versus 53% over the general public. And 56% view the deportations as unfair. It seems, and also, that there has not been enough done, perhaps to Mike's point on being the spurned voter, there has not been enough done on the economy still for them. Cost of living, cost of things, inflation. However, to your point, I mean, look, call it swing, call it spurned. Essentially, it seems to me that the Latino voter has options, right? And both parties now know that. And I think that there's great strength.
Yes.
There's great strength in being a swing voter or a spurned voter, classified. And there's great power in that, yes?
Yes.
So on this poll, I'm going to go back to you, Daniel, excuse me. This drop on immigration, specifically immigration policy, per our poll. I mean, it's not just ours. There's an earlier one that shows there was a global strategy group, the Somos Votantes, And also there was a Cook Political Report around mid-May that saw that there was a shift away from some Republican messaging on immigration. Is there a backlash? And how do you think Republicans should counter this? It seems like there's a backlash. So I'm going to say that there's a backlash according to these polling numbers. But how do Republicans counter that? And you can talk about this data.
Yeah. Well, I know for a fact that Americans and Latinos do not want an open border, at least not the way that Biden was executing it. And what we're seeing now is almost a shift to the other extreme, where deport them all, right? On the one hand, you have Democrats and liberals who say that every immigrant is a valedictorian, and on the other hand, every immigrant is a criminal. Neither are true, right? There's bad apples on both sides. In every society, there's folks you need to take care of. There's criminals, there's human traffickers, there's cartels. And so you need a robust law enforcement to secure the border. And we need to know who's coming into the country. And you need an adequate vetting system. You just do. And anybody who denies that, I think is smoking something. So, but what's happening right now, where we're going to cull through all the illegal criminals, vamos a decir, is I think people are okay with that. Of course, the criminals, the murderers and the burglars and the rapists, who are they victimizing? Immigrants, the immigrant community, us, Latinos themselves, right? It's like, it's who's being victimized. So of course, get rid of them. So I think there's a majority of Latinos who are okay with that. What's happening is that once you get through that, you're not gonna have to go through single males who are working in construction, landscaping, farm working, or whatever. That's when the rubber hits the road. I think there is an incredible opportunity for both Republicans and Democrats to come together, as Erika was talking about. We've controlled the border almost to where there's no traffic of folks that are coming in. Let's get to expanding legal channels now. Let's talk about farm workers. Let's talk about the service sector. Let's talk about DACA. If you are the party on the Democrat side, if you are the party who cares most, se presume, that cares most about immigrants, then why don't you cut deals with the Republicans? Why don't you negotiate in good faith with an administration? Well, hold on. I'm going to tell you something. It upsets me to no end, and this is where the fireworks is going to come probably. It upsets me to no end that Donald Trump proposed citizenship to 2 million of our dreamers. But no, said Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, because he wants to build this wall. Now he gets the wall. And our dreamers are left without citizenship. That pisses me off. I want our dreamers to have citizenship. Negotiate, sit down at the table, reach consensus. One party.
Please let him finish.
Let me have it. One party does not get to define what immigration reform is, and neither does the other party. They both have to come together, gente. They need to reach consensus. And if you're not willing to give a little bit, we're never going to get anywhere. Vamos a pelear y vamos a llegar al mismo espacio que estamos ahorita. I reject that. I would rather come to the middle. Let's find common ground. Let's reconcile our differences, and let's bring both parties together. Finally get it done.
Thank you, Daniel. Chuck, your response to Daniel?
Look, I think, look, I'm never going to be the smartest person in the room, but I remember having a deal that we had in the Senate that Donald Trump said, y'all go fuck yourself, we ain't gonna move it through the House because we need this for an election issue. When it's an election issue and you put politics in it, then they're never gonna have a deal, so that shit cuts both ways.
Of course it does. That's what I'm saying. Both sides are just as guilty on not negotiating in good faith. And so here we are, otra vez, igual, status quo.
This is what I love, a good, robust exchange of ideas. I do want to go back to Michelle, because she's the expert on data here. Mike is too. Mike is great. But she just won the award for best pollster in the country, right? So
No pressure.
No pressure. So, looking into this data,
yeah.
What does this say to you? I mean, and it also, to Daniel's point, into just the core of it, not about the sort of the negotiations, but is there, and Chuck's point as well, is there do you believe, looking at this data, looking at your own data, is there another path? Is there like a Ruben Gallego path on immigration, perhaps, where it's more of this sort of this like center-left perspective on focusing on border security, but not have the hardline policies of these ICE deportations, the criticisms that we're seeing towards those operations?
Right. Well, I hope there is. I will say I was actually just in McAllen, Texas, and I was doing a focus group, and obviously on the border, I asked about immigration. I gave them the whole spiel at the beginning that this is being recorded, and the minute I brought up immigration to a focus group of Latinos, they were like, "Who's watching this? Is someone going to come in and take us?" And it was a really powerful moment. I mean, obviously, also what they said was very powerful.
These are Latino voters.
These are Latino voters. Some of them are citizens. Like they're all voters, so they're
all
citizens,
yeah.
right? And some of them were immigrants as well, and they were just scared. And I think coming to a negotiation table out of fear it just creates the wrong atmosphere for negotiation.
Sure. Right. What about the Gallego plan, or how he ran? He ran again in a state that Trump won by 5.5 points.
Yep.
He had damn
He
good
did both.
consultants.
Yeah, I mean, he did both. So we talked about the economy a lot. We talked about how he worked at a meatpacking plant. Like, we did do that, but we also did an ad with border sheriffs and talked about, I think everybody agrees our immigration system is broken. I don't think that's the, controversial piece here, right? And, the people do feel like we need a secure border, but I don't, you said Latinos are being hunted. I do feel like people are there's a sense of fear in it as well. And so there has to be a middle ground. But he did talk about securing the border, and then also, finding a pathway for, people who come here and play by the rules, and, which is most immigrants. And so I think it's a little bit about that. It's sort of a middle ground.
Interestingly, he's also going to be in Iowa early next month. So it's raised a lot of interest.
If anyone's from Iowa,
what his
check it
plans
out.
are doing, what he's planning to do in 2028. Mike, I want to ask you, looking ahead to 2026, we do have two key gubernatorial races, but I don't know if they're really emblematic. I think there's some lessons that both parties perhaps can learn from those races, but they're sort of unique and within their own respective states. But looking ahead to 26, how do you foresee this playing out?
Well, look, it's a long way away, but I think the way I try to have decided after being in this for 30 years is I'm much more interested in sort of the long-term trend of where we're going as a community. The reason why I wrote the book, and everybody is singularly focused on this big rightward shift that happened in 2024, folks, this rightward shift has been happening for 10 years. So affordability was a big part of it, border security was a big part of it, but what explains the 7 years prior to that, the 8 years prior to that, okay? In understanding that, as I pointed out in my book, 4 of the last 5 elections, we've witnessed this rightward shift or this higher level of support, historic support for Republican candidates amongst Latino voters. The one exception were the 2018 midterms. When we're hearing about ICE was cracking down, Fox News was manufacturing all this nonsense about caravans, which I'm sure we're going to hear again soon. And it failed miserably. And Latinos, again, showed up in highest numbers ever in midterm history and voted strongly against the Republican Party. I believe that we're going to see something somewhat similar in the 2026 midterms, but this is an important caveat. I don't think it's going to be as significant as it was in 2018. You can hear it in this room. There's a strong base level of support on immigration, on the economy, on a whole wide range of issues that is growing and that is changing. There's no question about that. The days, as Michelle pointed out, of Democrats getting 70% of the Latino voters are gone. That's a chapter from the last 30 years. I'm focused on the next 30 years, which brings me to the point, which is the lesson is the Democrats want to focus exclusively on that 2018 cycle and say that's the way you get Latino voters because that's when they do really well. But the 3 election cycles after the 2018 midterms were the largest rightward shifts amongst Latinos in history. To my point, both sides are wrong. And not only are they wrong philosophically, they're wrong tactically. Because it's absolutely the case that the way Getting to immigration reform is easy, by the way. The policy is simple. It's never been any different since it has been since after the 86 IRCA Act. Start with border security, secure the border, develop a pathway to citizenship. We can argue about some commas and some periods. We all know 90% of it. It's basically what Marco Rubio put forth with the Gang of Eight proposal the last time he was, abandoned it, and then now he's, full right-wing Trump nutbag, right? But it's the same. That's what the policy is going to be. But to suggest it's as simple as coming together and negotiating while you're rolling military vehicles down Latino streets? That's not even a real argument. And I know that's not what you're saying, Daniel, but guys, the power comes when we in our respective parties, this is what I learned in the Lincoln Project. The power is not pointing the finger and yelling and being louder and being smarter and about how bad the Democrats are. The power comes from when you stand up and tell Donald Trump, that's immoral, that's unethical. And let me finish. And the same comes for the Democrats who need to stand up and say, we had both houses of Congress in 1995. We had both houses of Congress in 2009 when Obama left us at the doorstep. And we had both houses of Congress when Joe Biden took office in 2021. So until Democrats in their own party criticize themselves, that's how you create leverage in this space. The era of attacking the other party gets you nowhere but trench warfare. That's where we're at. Until we in this room start demanding of our own party something different, we will never see change.
Daniel, something reminded me when Michelle was talking earlier about her focus group that 51%, according to Pew, of naturalized citizens voted for Trump. Not just Latino, but that's across the board. I mean, do you think that the Trump and Republicans will be able to hold that number? And what strategically do you think how will conservatives try to maintain that advantage they had with Latino voters in 24?
Well, this has been building, as Mike was talking about. I mean, if we go back in time, in the 50s and 60s and 70s, Latinos had to march, do walkouts, school walkouts, protest, get aggressive, with their advocacy, because we were on the outside looking in. That's all we had, right? We had to be a bit uncouth in the way we advocated for our community. Today, how many elected officials we have in Congress? Congressional staffers galore are young Latino women and men. We are in state legislature. We're on the inside looking out, right? It's a new day. It's a new way of doing advocacy, I think. And we have to be very smart about, we need to be in the room when it happens, to quote Hamilton. And the thing too is in the absence of sound policy, the extremes are gonna win. You're gonna get open borders, you're gonna deport them all. We need to actually propose legislation that makes sense, and we need to come together on this. I want to work together with my friends on the left so that we can propose policy that makes sense to the American people, that's going to strengthen our borders and that's going to expand legal channels for all. I'm concerned that we are being more divisive. We are getting more partisan as opposed to being more principled, respecting each other, and actually picking up the phone. I'm worried. You were talking about calling Donald Trump out. We don't take money from the Republican Party. We're not beholden to any politician. Our money is very independent, so I have the freedom to not be beholden to anybody on the Republican side, even though I am center-right, and I believe in those principles of limited government, free enterprise, and free trade. But this thing that is starting to percolate about the aggressiveness on deports, also now affecting even maybe citizens, Latino citizens, and violating the 14th Amendment on civil rights. I don't care who the hell you are, you're not gonna stop a Latino simply for being a Latino and asking him if he's a citizen or not. that shit ain't gonna go. And what I mean by that is we need to call that out. We need to come together, left and center, on stuff. And I don't care if it's the left doing it or the right doing it, Donald Trump or Schumer or whoever. I think as a community, we have muscle now. And the one thing that I think that our shift has caused, no matter how it was caused, but there it is that elected leadership now respects us. If not, they fear us. And if we were to unite, if we were to have an agenda that we could reach common ground on, I'm telling you, we are defining more and more outcomes in congressional and Senate races across the country, not to mention state legislatures and even on the electoral map for the presidency. We are a force to be reckoned with, and if we finally sort of got it and came together and united with our dreamers and on the 10, 12 million, 15 million that are here, I don't even know. Again, we could be a powerful voice, but we're so segmented, and the extremes are winning, and I hate that. I hate that that's the fact. But we have to be bold enough, brave enough to call out our own side. You know, when you know we are seeing something that is being not done right. And I'm concerned about that also for the midterms for other Republicans too, that if they go too aggressive, we're going to lose the gains that we've made.
Thanks, Daniel. And I think the one incident I think you were referring to was George Retes, 25-year-old. He was a U.S. Army veteran who served and deployed in Iraq, who was arrested
You can't make a mistake
and detained by ICE on his way to work. Yep. Spent 3 days in being detained by ICE. I think, is that something maybe the whole panel can agree is something that...
And there's been other articles that have shown that people are being stopped just because of the color of their skin.
Right, of course.
That's got to stop.
Well, look, I mean, in a polarized landscape, I think does this whole panel agree that that is not...
Yeah. No.
Okay,
Right.
All right, good. That's wrong, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's not, okay. All right, so we don't have a ton of time left. This has been a great panel. But I do want to leave this very knowledgeable and esteemed group of elected and appointed officials with a little bit of guidance from all of you, okay? What's one takeaway that you can offer them? We have about 6 minutes left that you can offer them. Michelle, why don't we start with you?
I mean, I think I said it at the beginning. Like, we cannot take, I know there's a lot of elected officials here. We cannot take the Latino vote for granted. You have to go in and talk to people. They are making up their minds. They are making up their minds late. So get in there.
Look, let me tie these two things together, and this most important thing you're going to hear, it ain't just because it's coming from Chuck Rocha, but it is because it's coming from Chuck Rocha. Stay with me, Mike. Quit giving me the ugly look. Look, there's one place where our power don't matter at all, and it's the most important place in any election, and it's the people that run the campaigns. Whether it's Mike Madrid's philosophy that it's the messaging, somebody's coming up with the messaging. Somebody's figuring out the strategy of who's going to take that message and deliver it to a voter to make sure that that voter hears it. Somebody's got to buy the media, do the mail, figure out the strategy. What can we talk about on public policy? There's one place in all this that nobody and everybody in here is scared to talk about, and it's the people actually running all of this. And there's none of us there, y'all. There's literally none of us. I've said this for 16 years since I started coming here, Arturo, when I had hair and I was skinnier. It's been a long time. And nothing has changed. Hey, wait.
Do I get to point out I'm the only woman on the panel now?
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely. And also say that women have found their place in political consulting. There's a lot of women in Democratic consulting. What you find very few of are Latinos and hardly any Latinas in political consulting. I wrap up by saying this. We underperformed as Democrats in every single county in America. Kamala Harris outspent Donald Trump 10-1 on Spanish advertising, and we still got our ass kicked. And every one of those consultants are running every one of the House, Senate, and governor races right now, and none of them look like anybody in this fucking room. Now it's your turn.
Mike Madrid.
Thank you for calling on me first. I appreciate it.
This is a dark moment in American history.
Because I said fuck? Oh, my bad.
Yeah, bro.
It is also a serious moment. And if you were going to come up with one of the very few things that are actually positive and aspirational and hopeful for this moment and this American experiment, this great American project, it would be that you would have a people of blended culture and blended race as a part of the fastest growing segment of a country undergoing change. That is our superpower. If you poll Latinos in the Democratic Party, they are the moderates. If you poll Latinos in the Republican Party, they are the moderates. We are the great hope of continuing this American experiment just at the moment we, as all of you, are stewards, elected office holders, appointed elected officials, the decision makers who will develop and craft the policies. My one bit of advice to you is this: the way we stop extremism, the way we stop hyperpolarization is by having the courage to stand within your own house, within your own party, and declare with principle and moral clarity the partisanship, the extremism on your side of the aisle, not on the other side of the aisle. When you throw stones at how extreme the other side is, all you do is cement and lock in that same toxic, corrupt dynamic. Our moment, and whether or not this continues, is dependent on the courage that we as individuals have to stand up and put your contracts on the line, your clients on the line, your invitations to the White House Christmas dinner on the line. You all get them, depending on who who's in charge.
Wait, are you all getting them?
But until you stand up and are willing to say there's something wrong with our educational system, there's something wrong with our prison system, there's something wrong with our economic system, there's something wrong with our immigration system, there's something wrong with the way this system has been allowed to calcify in all the wrong directions, there will be no change. The Republican Party is not going to save you, my Republican friends. The Democratic Party is not going to save you, my Democratic friends. We are going to save us when we challenge both of them from inside our own houses.
Yeah. Okay.
Daniel,
Yeah, I love America.
Go ahead. Chuck and Mike took up most of the time, but please, go as long as you can.
I love America. I love the American Constitution and our American principles. And we need to take our place in the halls of government to make sure that we have strong leadership and advocates from our community to make sure we drive those issues. Julio Vaqueiro said something very important, and it's listen. I think a lot of us try to impose our will, try to impose an agenda on the Latino community, and we don't detail, we don't explain qué son las razones que anclan tus ideas. What are the reasons that anchor your ideas? What are the merits, and what have been the outcomes of the policies that you believe in? And how does that benefit you directly, not as Latinos, but you as a person? We're 65 million individuals, and public policy impacts us very different. Some because of their wealth or economic status or educational status or whatever. But I think as a community, we need to defend American principles, because every time we draw closer to those principles enshrined in the Constitution, we are better off and we're a better nation. And anytime we deviate from that, violate civil rights or anything else, we get into a world of problems and hurt and division. And so I would call to unify in the 250th anniversary of America, unite behind American principles and unite as a community. Dios me los bendiga.
Thank you very much. And just real quick, since there's 65 million Latinos in this country, there's also, by this year, many years, by Pew, 37 million eligible Latino voters in this country, in our country.
Increíble.
With that, please give a round of applause to this incredible panel. And thank you, Naleo.
I know. We got to go to the airport.
Yeah.
We got to go to the airport.
Ooh, sorry.
Good job, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the stage Naleo Educational Fund Chair and member of the University of California Regents Selection Advisory Committee, the Honorable Alejandra Sotelo Solis.
Como se dice, wow, right? Wow, 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 wow. Those are some fireworks. So, all right, last few minutes, porfis, right here. Okay, so thank you to our moderator and panelists for such a dynamic and lively conversation. We appreciate all your insight and perspectives on the road ahead. Let's give our panelists one more round of applause. Before we conclude, we know that some people are heading out, but we would like to share a brief update on this year's service project. It's benefiting Los Niños Primero, an incredible organization right here in Atlanta that empowers Latino children and families through education and wellness. Throughout the conference, we've been inviting attendees to help us assemble 1,200 heat mitigation and mental health kits for the children and their families of Los Niños Primero that they serve. I am pleased to share that we have assembled just over 1,000 kits. Give yourselves a big round of applause, 1,000. So now we got some work to do. You need to work off the lunch. Go get it done. We have 200 kits that we need to complete to meet our goal, and we need your help to make that happen. This effort is part of our commitment to not only convene in our host city, but also to give back to the communities that welcome us. This project would not be possible without the generous support of our Naleo Service Project presenting partner, State Farm. We are honored to have State Farm representative and Naleo Educational Fund board member Paula Lutz with us here today. Thank you, Paula, and thank you to the entire State Farm team for standing with us for this important work. We also want to recognize our Naleo Service Project host, AT&T, for their partnership and support. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Lupita Sanchez Cornejo, Regional Vice President of External and Legislative Affairs of the Greater Los Angeles region at AT&T.
This is my ride or die crowd. Thank you for staying. Buenas tardes, Leo Familia. As Alejandra said, my name is Lupita Sanchez Cornejo with AT&T, and on behalf of my colleagues from AT&T here today, it is our honor and joy to be here today representing AT&T and standing with this powerful network of Latino leaders from across the country. My very first Latino Naleo conference was 30 years ago. I was a young intern, part of the Naleo Shell Legislative Internship Program, one of just 2 Californians that year. I walked into a room just like this, full of Latino change makers, and I remember thinking, this is what possibility looks like. It changed the course of my life. And I'm standing here 3 decades later, looking at all of you at this sold-out room filled with visionaries, elected officials, public servants, and advocates. And I feel that same spark. This is more than a conference. This is our movement. This is the power of what happens when we come together to learn, to lead, and to lift each other up. I am proud to be here not only as a Naleo alum, but also as a representative of a company that shares our values. At AT&T, our mission is simple but powerful: to connect people to what matters most. That means strengthening the power of our cities and homes through our network. That means enabling remote healthcare, virtual classrooms, and smarter communities. And most of all, it means making sure families stay connected no matter how far apart they may be, whether it's a call to your abuelita, a text to your mommy, or a video chat with your kids while you're working late or at a conference. Those connections matter. They're not just technical, they are emotional, they are cultural and essential. Connectivity, it's not just our business, it's in our DNA. And that's why we are especially proud to support the Naleo Service Project this year, benefiting Los Niños Primero. This incredible organization is doing hard, beautiful work, uplifting Latino families through early education, parent engagement, and youth leadership. They are investing in our future, in our niños, and creating a community that is more informed, more empowered, and more united. At AT&T, we believe a more connected community is a stronger, more resilient community. And Los Niños Primero embodies exactly that. Now, allow me to take a personal moment here. Like many of you, I am a daughter of immigrants. And like so many of us in this room, my journey has been shaped by struggle, but fueled by hope and grit. Because of my parents' sacrifices, I've had the privilege of achieving many firsts. I was the first in my extended family to graduate from high school, the first to go to college, the first to earn a graduate degree, the first Latina or Latino to serve as the chairman of the board of the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce in our 100-year history, the first Latina to chair the Valley Industry Commerce Association, first Latina in our 75-year history, and the first Latina president of the Getty House Foundation, the official residence of the mayor of the city of Los Angeles. But I mention these because I didn't do this alone. I stand here today because of the mentors who believed in me, because of the leaders who opened doors, because of organizations like Laneo that created pathways when there were none. The work that Arturo did all those decades, 3 decades, and the work that now Erica and her team will continue to open doors for the next generation. And it's our turn to fight for equity, access, and opportunity, to lead with courage, compassion, and conviction. This movement, this moment, it's about more than individual success. It's about collective empowerment. It's about realizing the American dreams our parents came here to pursue, not just for ourselves, but for every family, every Latino family in this country. So today, I thank you, not just for what you do, but for who you are. Let's keep building, let's keep connecting, let's keep rising together. Mil gracias, Naleo familia.
And now I'd like to welcome to the podium Ms. Maritza Morelli, who will provide a few remarks.
Buenas tardes, and I'm going to start thanking all of you for staying because I know it has been a long morning, so I appreciate that you staying here and give some time to hear the story about Los Niños Primero, which I'm going to be brief because I'm going to honor your time. So it is a pleasure to be here today with a space full of leaders that believe in equity, education, and the future of the Latino community. Today, we talk about the importance of history. Well, here I am. My name is Maritza Morelli. I'm original from Venezuela. Venezuela right now doesn't have a good reputation in this country, but let me tell you that I came to the United States 35 years ago, which now I call home. And I'm the executive director and co-founder of Los Niños Primero organization, which is a nonprofit the base in metro area Atlanta, and has spent the last 25 years empowering Latino students and families from early childhood to college. Our story began in Sandy Springs only with 17 children, and today, in 2025 or 25, we are now serving 5 different counties, and we are serving over 1,300 children, youth, and families. Our approach is a very holistic approach, which is a word that has been used a lot, but it's really embrace what a human being should be and what our children should be getting in the schools, which is not only a child that is academically performing and success, is also a human being that is going to face all the challenges that we see here today. Because this is a new generation that need to have more humanity and also need to learn how to come to an agreement. So over the past 25 years, we have impacted 7,500 lives. Our former students now return as a board member, as a volunteer, as an intern, and as certified teachers. As a matter of fact, I have 2 of them on the back of the room. Could you say hi? They have been with me since they were 3 years old. Talking about support system, these are the new generation that is going to lead. This generation is going to be sitting in here in a few years. So we better pay attention to what we are doing now and what the example we are showing them. So our community right now faces real challenges: language barrier, limited access to quality education, and growing fears around immigration and equity. Yes, it's the face of adversity. Our families remain incredibly resilient, and our work has never been more important. As we look forward to the future, our focus is on growth and sustainability. We are expanding into new school districts, deepening our partnership, and investing in the next generation of bilingual Latino leaders. So, if this is your first time hearing about Los Niños, I invite you to learn more, get involved, and help us to continue build the future where every child is seen, supported, and celebrated. I thank you, each one of you, and of course, Naleo, for your time, your leadership, and commitment to our community. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you so much.
So, what a great day. Can we give Maritza and Los Niños Primero a big round of applause? And to the alum that is here as well. So, we're going to take a quick picture. 2 seconds. Come on, ladies. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, so what a great day it's been already. We have so much more ready for you later tonight. We hope you'll join us this evening for a night of unity and celebration at the World of Coca-Cola. Who's ready? Woo! All right. Well, we're excited to be hosting this reception in partnership with our friends at AAPI Lead. And it's going to be a wonderful evening of connection and good vibes. So we hope to see you there. Thank you all. Be safe. See you later.